two-stroke petrol engine. Okay. So first we know what are the different strokes. So two-stroke means two strokes are there. So first stroke is your induction and compression. That is, you can say it will upward stroke. Okay. And in downward stroke, you see there is two things happen, that is ignition and exhaust. Actually there is four things will total, that is induction, compression, ignition and exhaust, that we'll see in four strokes in four stroke petrol engine. But in two stroke there is actually two strokes, and combining the induction process and compression process in happening in the when it is forward upward stroke, and in downward stroke ignition process and exhaust process will happen. Okay, so first we see what will happen when it will go upward. When it is going upward, then actually there is a three port. Okay, one is your suction port, okay, inlet port, another one is exhaust port, and another is a transfer port. Okay, again there is a new port, that is transfer port, introduced in according comparison to the four stroke petrol engine. Okay. So now when this piston is going upward, then what will happen? The inlet port is just in between the piston. When go upward, then the here sucking these things is that mixing of air and the fuel into the that is crankcase. Okay. So in four stroke what will happen? That suction is coming to the first combustion chamber. Okay. But here the suction is coming first into the crankcase. Okay. Then simultaneously when the piston will go upward, the fuel will suck into the crankcase. Okay. And the here previous that whatever the sucked that means fuel inside the combustion chamber, that will suck compressed. Okay. So both suction to the crankcase will happen, and the compression of the previous entering into the combustion chamber, that will compress. So you understood? Okay. Then here in this process there is no work of a transfer port. Okay, that is closed. Okay. Then we go for the that is downward stroke, that we will say that the ignition and exhaust process will happen. How they will we explain. So here when the piston is going from BTC to TDC, then what will happen? The exhaust port is opened, so that actually the nature of the exhaust gas is always in outward, from closing to into free. That means it is scavenging. So these exhaust gases will be out, and when the piston will go downward, so inside the oil that is soaked already in crankcase fluid, that will go by the transfer port into the combustion chamber, and that will also the push to the previous exhaust gases to the outward. So that will happen in the in your downward stroke, and in downward stroke the inlet port is nowhere, that is closed. Okay. So now we see the demo. You zoom here. Okay. So student, what we read in the two stroke, that is first is upward stroke, that will happen when that compression and suction is happening, and in downward stroke you see that there is a compression, exhaust and power is happening. So what will happen, we see inside that there is a already hand and you can know. So when you see here is piston, this is connecting rod, this is crank and crankcase. Okay, this is your your that is suction carburetor, and here is a spark plug. you see the spark plug, and this is the transport port, unique. This is the new introduction that as compared to the 4-stroke, there is a that is a transport port, and this is the inlet port. There is a yellow mark is there, so this is inlet port, and this is exhaust port, black color. Okay, so when you see, when I down the piston from TDC to BDC, you see what will happen. Actually, in this position, when you downward, so what will happen? The transport port, the fluid inside the crank, that will transfer through the transport port into the combustion chamber. Okay, and the exhaust gases inside the combustion chamber will exhaust by this exhaust port. Okay, when we go for the upward movement, this is upward movement, that will close the transport port, and when it will come here, this position, before this position not will happen. When this position will come, then what will happen? The fluid coming from this port to the crankcase, and also previously sucked into the by transport into the combustion chamber, that will compress. So here sucked and here compressed. Then when we will go for downward, here it is exhaust, and here it is what? Sucked. Now that means power and exhaust. Then when you go for the upward, then this is a suction to the crankcase and compression of this previous sucked fluid into the combustion chamber. Okay, so the downward movement, again I will explain. When we go for the upward, then what happened? The upward movement, the suction of new fluid into the crankcase, and the previously sucked into the combustion chamber fluid is compressed here. When we go for the downward, then what will happen? By the transport port, the fluid is into the that means here that is exhaust of the exhaust gases by the exhaust port, and also in transport port, the compressed fluid inside the crankcase enter into the that is combustion chamber. So here power is happening, and also the exhaust will happen. Okay, so this is 2 strokes that will. Okay, so one question definitely in your mind, that why will this 2-stroke engine so much not widely used nowadays? Actually, some emission issues are there, and basic problem is there is a scavenging problem. What happened? What do you mean by scavenging? Actually, scavenging means the removal of exhaust gases from the inside, from the cylinder chamber. Okay, combustion chamber. So when there is a port, actually there is not valve, this is a port. So when we go for the upward stroke, what will happen? The fresh charge is enter into the combustion chamber by the transport port, and simultaneously same time the exhaust gases are exhausted by the exhaust port. Okay, but in practical, what will happen? The fresh charge that coming from the transport port is also passed by the exhaust with the exhaust gases by the exhaust port, so that some fuels are unburned fuel particles are exhausted, scavenged by the transport port. Okay, that is exhaust port. So that's why it is a not completely that is a very mileage issue also there, and a loss of fuel. So that's why we designed 4-stroke petrol engine except this 2-stroke engine. Okay, thank you.